Hi there, I'm artist and art instructor Kathleen Reitz, and welcome to my channel.
Today I have a fun exercise designed to help you paint more freely. I'll show you how you can add eye flow to your composition without getting stuck on the details. If you've ever wanted to master abstract painting but you find it to be a lot harder than you thought it would be, this video will be very helpful for you. Here I have a pad of 12 by 12 canvas paper. I applied 2 coats of matte medium and let that dry before taping off my paper into 4 equal quadrants. I used just regular masking tape for this. The colors I'm using today are alizarin crimson, cadmium yellow medium, and indigo. So that's my red, my yellow, and my blue. And this over here is called parchment. These colors are all by Liquitex, and this here is kind of a nice off-white color. So for this exercise, I recommend you pick a red, a blue, and a yellow. Those are primary colors, and then of course a white. So for those of you wondering, for this exercise, you can use any colors you want. I just happen to be using a red, a yellow, and a blue because you can mix so many different colors just from that limited color palette. I love quinacridone magenta as an alternative to a red such as this, but today these are the colors that I am choosing to use, along with, as I said, parchment, which is an alternative to titanium white. So here I'm just going around my entire paper and I am spreading color onto the paper. I'm not thinking about composition at this point. I'm not thinking about making a pretty painting. I'm just interested in getting my first layer of color down. And I am also, I want to make sure that I am using nice big strokes. I'm not getting caught up in any one area for too long. And I've got a nice variety of paint all around the canvas by the time I'm done with this first layer. And because my goal here is just to get the paper covered with paint at this point, I am working very quickly. I'm not getting stuck in any one place or trying to create any sort of picture. Again, just trying to get a nice variety of color all around the paper. And now I'm going to introduce titanium white to my palette. And watch what happens when I use titanium white to mix my colors instead of parchment. Titanium white is a much brighter white than parchment. And as you can see, it'll make my colors a lot more saturated and intense. And I do want a mix of both saturated colors and muted colors. And here I am just adding a little bit of glazing liquid in order to keep my paint wet longer and make it easier to spread. And for those of you interested, here I'm just using a flat brush to spread the paint around. And here I'm switching to a small round brush. And this is great for making lines. So I want a variety of shapes and sizes, different widths of lines in my painting. The purpose of this is to add variety to the final composition and create a lot more interest in my painting than there would be if I just had all thick lines or all thin lines. So variety is going to create eye flow, which is going to help my final composition. So when it comes to eye flow, you want to be able to direct people's eye around your paintings by using contrast. So what I mean is contrast of values. So in other words, light and dark. And as you can see, I'm applying white here. And then I also will have a lot of dark areas as well. Another way to create contrast is with line variation, like you see me doing right here. and also with thick and thin lines and large and small shapes. Now I'm switching to a filbert brush, and the difference between a filbert brush and a flat brush is that the flat brush is squared off and the filbert brush has a rounded edge to the bristles. At this point, I have not dried my paint yet. I will say that acrylic paint does dry fairly quickly on paper, but I am allowing some of this yellow to blend with the colors underneath, and but I don't want to make a muddy mess. So in a moment here, after I'm done applying this yellow, I will be drying my painting with a hairdryer before I move on. And you can feel free to dry your painting as many times as you want throughout this process, especially if it's very humid where you live or you are applying the paint very thickly. And for an exercise like this, keep in mind that even though you have taped off 4 quadrants on your paper, we're not trying to paint within any boundaries right now. We're just applying paint, as you can see, to the entire paper, and you will find your results are very interesting, especially if you don't try and control the outcome too much. So I don't want you to pay any attention to where your tape is on the paper. Just feel free to have fun and paint, and just paint loosely. Now here I did take a break to dry my painting before moving on. I applied a little bit more red paint to my paper plate, and now I'm going to start mixing a beautiful shade of orange. And note here that another way to add interest to a painting and create eye flow is also to have a variety of both transparent and opaque shades. So here I am intentionally leaving this orange very transparent so I can see the colors coming through underneath. And here I'm adding a little bit more of the glazing liquid to my paint to keep it nice and loose and workable. And of course, adding white to my color will make it more opaque. Now, instead of using black for my deepest, darkest shade of color, I am mixing all of my primaries. So I'm mixing my red, my blue, and my yellow. And this will not give me exactly a black color, but a very deep, rich color. And this will be the darkest shade that I have in my painting. And you can see here that adding these dark, rich lines really changes the feel and the look of the painting. Now I think I'm going to add some blue lines to the painting. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. And here I've taken a break to dry my painting again. I have this beautiful, colorful set of oil pastels, and I'm going to now use those in my painting. And the thing I love about using oil pastels in a painting like this is that I can get beautiful, soft, blended lines. This contrasts with the hard lines of that I made with my paintbrush. So again, this is another way to add contrast and interest to a painting. If you're interested in the colors that I'm using and the brand of paint and oil pastels, those will be located in the description underneath this video. Every time I make a video using oil pastels, people comment that the oil pastels never truly dry. And you're right, they don't. You can use a fixative and a varnish over the oil pastels. I will also put that information in the description underneath the painting. But I plan to frame these for mini paintings under glass, so I'm not really very worried about it. And this is also just an exercise to help you loosen up and learn about composition and just to be able to paint freely without worrying about the outcome. So even if you don't plan on framing your paintings once you're finished, Oil pastels are just a fun tool. Paint by itself, I find gets a little boring, so I'm always trying to figure out what kind of mixed media I can use in my work. So for me, lately, I've really been focusing on using oil pastels. Now I think I want to wake up this painting a little bit with this pretty reddish purple color. You may have noticed in this video that I've used the back of a paintbrush several times to scratch into the paint and now the oil pastel. There's a name for this. It's called sgraffito, and it basically just means scratching. And I do like that I can get other interesting, very thin lines by just using the back of the paintbrush to scratch into whatever medium I've put down. Now I'm going to peel the tape off of my painting, and I want to give you a tip here. Make sure that you use your hair dryer one last time to heat up the tape. It'll help it pull off a lot more easily without ripping the paper. If you use a hair dryer, it does tend to heat up the adhesive and makes it much easier to pull off. And now you can see what these paintings look like individually. I just absolutely love the way they turned out, but I think I want a little bit more contrast in there. So I am coming in with this light shade of blue oil pastel and just making a few more fun lines. And now these are finished. I'm going to cut them apart, and then I'm going to pop one in a frame and show you what it looks like when it's all finished.
So I wanted to show you how I choose to display my little color studies. I cut them apart, all four of them, and I get these frames from Amazon. They are 6x6 frames, and they come with this little mat already with them. So I can frame my oil pastel little studies in these, and there is glass in front, and then between the artwork and the glass there is this mat. So then it creates a little bit of a gap so that my oil pastel doesn't smear and doesn't touch the glass. But you can see just a pretty little study. I end up selling a lot of these at the art shows that I do. And they're so much fun. I learn about color and composition every time I make these. And I hope that you will make your own. Have fun. Just loosen up. These help you loosen up and learn a lot about color. So I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. And as always, until next time, happy painting.